The flowering dogwood, Cornus Florida, is considered by many to be North America's most beautiful flowering tree. And it's easy to see why when they're adorned in the springtime with all these beautiful white blossoms. Dogwoods are native to the eastern part of Oklahoma, and we see them growing a lot as understory trees in this part of the state. Now, dogwoods can grow out in full sun, but they don't like exposed areas or really hot areas like in parking lots, and out in the western part of the state, they don't like the hot southwestern winds. We can get some scorching or browning of the leaf edges in the summertime. So in that part of the state, we need to put our dogwoods where they're out of that hot southwestern wind. Dogwoods can get to be 25 to 30 feet tall at maturity, but usually they're a little bit smaller than that in the landscape. Well, if we look close at the dogwood blossoms, we'll see that the majority of the color, or the bulk of the color of the flowers, is actually from bracts. These white leaf-like appendages here at the end of the branch tip. Now, the actual flowers are here in the center. They're very tiny. They're not really that showy. The main part of the show is these four cross-shaped bracts. Well, we've come here to McAlester, to Chaddock Park, to take a look at a planting of dogwoods that was created or put here for a very special purpose. Well, joining us now is Glen Kerns, the Superintendent of Recreation and Parks here for the city of McAlester. Hey, Glen, welcome to the program.
Welcome, Steve.
Glen, you've got a wonderful collection of dogwoods here in this park. Can you tell us why exactly they're planted here?
Okay, after the Oklahoma City bombing, there was some individuals here in McAlester. One of the ladies was named Gail Curtazza that approached me about doing a memorial for the kids that got killed in the bombing. And she said she would like for it to be special because each individual of these kids were individual kids. Mm-hmm. So Sherman Miller and I, the city gardener here, came up with the idea of planting dogwoods. So we did some research. We got on the computer and did research, and we found out that there was actually that many varieties of dogwoods available. So we discovered that they were in Tennessee around McMinnville.
Some of the nurseries in that area?
Some of the nurseries in that area. So we actually made a trip to Tennessee and chose each one of these individual dogwoods. And they are real different kind of dogwoods. There's Florida, here the common Florida. Then there is the Kuza, the Chinese dogwoods. There's a number of those here.
Different species?
Different species of dogwoods, yes. And like I say, it's a real unique planting because these kids, they were all individuals, and I think this is probably one of the best memorials there is in Oklahoma, as far as I've seen.
Okay, and they're in bloom at roughly the time of the April bombing.
All of the Floridas, which is the eastern,
are
they're mostly in bloom right now, but the Kuzas, they will be another
little bit later.
Yeah, another week or two later.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, right here we have an interesting statue. Can you tell us about this?
Yes, there is a lady here in McAlester by the name of Eloise DeGiacomo that actually designed this statue. When she originally started, she didn't have no idea of what she wanted it to look like, but as she progressed, this just all came to her. And it is a very unique statue, I think.
Okay, and even complete with a little dogwood.
Even complete with a little dogwood bloom on it.
Okay, interesting. Well, this is a beautiful park, and I'm interested to go and look at some of those different dogwood species. And someone else is going to show us around over there.
Yes, Sherman Miller, our city gardener. He will take us around and show us each individual dogwood. Okay.
Well, thanks, Glen. I'll go find Sherman.
You bet.
Well, now we're joined by Sherman Miller, the gardener for the City of McAlester Parks Department. Hey, Sherman, welcome back to the program.
Glad to be here.
We had Sherman on a couple years ago when we were down here shooting the Arboretum here in McAlester. Well, Sherman, this collection of dogwoods is truly spectacular, and we'll just start talking about some of the different species. And right here we have one that is a hybrid between Cornus Florida, which is an American species, and what's the other hybrid?
It's
Species?
Coosa.
Coosa.
The
okay.
Chinese Coosa. And Rutgers, they've been doing a lot of work with the hybridization of some of the dogwoods, and really you get the best of both worlds with the Coosa Florida crosses. You get the early flush of foliage with the brack emerging, and it's not really bare.
Sure.
It gives you some fullness to it. And Rutgers, they've come out with some real good ones. This particular one is Aurora, which is one of their hybrids.
Okay,
it's a real good tree.
The Coosas typically flower a little bit later than the Floridas. So with the hybrid here, you get the bracts and the leaves present at the same time. Makes a nice display. And this one, Aurora, is I think it's unique. It's more of an upright species.
Right.
Doesn't seem to, or cultivar doesn't seem to be branching as wide. And a really good introduction.
It really is. It really is. Nice one.
Well, right over here, like the Coosas are later to flower, you can see that this one's still waiting a little bit here, and we've got a few blooms coming out here. They're still very small, but again, just the Coosas are a little bit later. And which hybrid is this?
This one's
Sherman?
Constellation.
Constellation.
Constellation. Okay. It's showing a little more Coosa.
Okay, later.
For the later. It's a hybrid as well. It's a Florida Coosa cross, but it's just showing more of its Coosa by coming out a little bit later.
Okay, got all those leaves right now.
All
and
the
that
leaves.
cultivar name again?
Constellation.
Constellation, okay. Well, right up here, taking another Coosa Florida cross. Which one is this?
Celestial.
Okay.
This one's Celestial.
Stellar
It's still in the stellar theme.
Okay.
And it has a little bit of blush, pink blush that comes to the end of the bracts as they open up, and it is.
Oh, that's
it's another
attractive.
Real good one. It's another one of the upright, stays pretty tight.
The bracts are shaped a little differently than the typical Cornus Florida. Very attractive,
just a little
I
bit.
think. Well, the pink dogwoods in general need a little bit more cold chilling of their flower buds than the white dogwoods.
Normally.
And for that reason, they usually look a little better in the northern states than they do here. But you guys have a few pink dogwoods that you've had really good success with, including this one, right?
Right. This is just the Cornus Florida, just your standard dogwood, American dogwood that seems to be doing real well. This tree's been in since late 95, early 96, and has done real well, and it blooms real hard every year.
It's really showy now. So this is just the form rubra, and the parent of a lot of the new pink.
Some of the newer cultivars that are coming out.
Okay, very showy. That pale pink bract with a little bit of white there in the center. Well, you guys have several more pink cultivars here as well. Let's go take a look at those.
All right.
Well, Sherman, this collection of pink dogwoods here is very showy, and I understand that these all have some sort of connection?
Yeah, they're all in the Cherokee series.
Okay.
Like this one right here is a Cherokee Chief. It's Cornus Florida, and they bloom heavy. They're a heavy blooming pink, and
fairly large bracts on
yes,
that one.
Probably 3-inch, 4-inch bracts on them.
And right over here we have another Cherokee.
This
series?
is the Cherokee Sunset.
Okay.
It's kind of unique. It has a variegated foliage.
Very nice.
Lime green with dark green margins.
Very heavy bloomer again.
Very heavy. The Cherokee series seems to be a real heavy bloomer.
And this Cherokee series of dogwoods, these were developed in an area there in Tennessee?
That's where we located them. Was there in McVinville, Tennessee.
Okay.
Area that's really noted, for the dogwoods.
Okay, a number of nurseries in that area.
A number.
Doing some
and
dogwoods.
This is the Cherokee Brave.
Okay, little paler in color.
Little paler in color, a little more
white
right in the center.
Very flat.
Yeah.
Bracts.
Right. Very noticeable. Very noticeable.
Like, very attractive. And another Cherokee series over here. This very bushy dogwood here.
It's a little older than this one. These are both Braves.
Okay. Another Brave.
This one is roughly 10 years old. This one's probably 3.
Okay, so you can kind of see what
you can see what
get.
a maturing difference there is there in the two.
Well, I like the way you've left those lower branches and gives that fuller,
full
look with a Cherokee Brave. And the final Cherokee Series right down here.
This is the Cherokee Princess.
Okay,
and it didn't stay with the pink theme. No, it didn't stay with the pink theme.
That's interesting that the Brave and the Chief are pink and the Princess is white. But it just makes it interesting. Another heavy bloomer here with this other Cherokee Series dogwood. Well, Sherman, we've looked at several dogwoods. We've seen some crosses of Cornus Florida and Cornus Coosa, but you guys have a new variety out here that's sort of a 3-way cross. Can you tell us about it?
Right, it's the latest introductions from Rutgers University. They're Coosa Nuttallii crosses and then crossed back over the Coosa again. And they seem to be pretty tough. They're going to resist some of the wind tatter, like the Oklahoma redbud resists the wind tatter. The foliage is real thick and glossy green, and I believe they're going to be able to handle the heat and the hard south winds that we have, around here. So it's something we're excited about.
All right, and that Cornus Nuttallii, that's a West Coast?
West Coast dogwood, yes. The bracts on them are supposed to be 4 to 6 inches, some of the larger bracts. So we're anxious to see those in full bloom.
Okay, and they're going to be a little later in bloom.
Right, because of so much of the Coosa genetics in them.
Okay. Well, here is another one of those Coosa Florida hybrids. This is another of that's
Stellar Series.
Stellar Series, okay.
Right, and it's where the remainder part of the Stellar Series was white. These are going to be pink.
Okay.
These are in the kind of a pink. They're, like I said, it's going to be a little bit later because of the strong Coosa influence.
Okay, genetics there. All right, well, right up here, Sherman, we've got a very small dogwood. Can you tell us about that?
Right, that's the pygmy flowering dogwood. We seen the mother plant of this tree in Tennessee, and it was probably 30 years old and no more than 5 to 6 feet tall.
Wow, so it's a very
It is a pygmy shrub type dogwood.
But just one trunk.
One trunk, single
so
trunk.
Very small tree. Interesting, nice.
Not like the red twig dogwoods or some of those.
It's an actual small tree with one trunk. Well, Sherman, I see this dogwood back here, and this doesn't look like your typical dogwood.
No,
this
it doesn't.
Very unique. What do we have here?
It's a double flowering dogwood.
Wow.
It's a Florida dogwood. Cornus Florida, and it has a gardenia type bloom.
It sure does.
It has the first bracts that open up, flatten out in standard dogwood form, and then you actually have 2 more sets of bracts that ripen and open. So you have really a dense bract.
Sure, multi-bracted plant.
Yes,
and it's
really.
Not even at its peak yet,
No,
right?
it likes a long ways being at its peak.
It'll have more white color.
Real ivory white.
Okay.
It's an ivory white.
Okay, and the cultivar name?
It's just a double flowering.
Just double flowering.
Double flowering
okay,
dogwood.
Double flowering cornus. And this is the first one I've ever seen.
As far as we know, there's only 2 of them this side of the Mississippi River.
Wow.
And we drove to Tennessee to get this one.
Okay, so you can see it right here in McAlester.
Right.
Well, Sherman, right down here, again, 19 children were killed at the Oklahoma City bombing
That's
nearly
correct.
10 years ago. And their names are on a small plaque here.
Right, in honor of their passing. We also have the people that donated, their private donations to purchase the trees, as well as the common and botanical names of the trees as well.
Okay. Well, I think this is a very noble undertaking here with this planting. A very beautiful park.
Well, thank you.
I would just like to ask you, Sherman, which is your favorite dogwood in this collection?
In this collection, the Cherokee Sunset, because of the variegated foliage and the real pink, really hot pink bracts.
Okay, beautiful foliage on that plant.
It is.
Even when
gorgeous.
it's not in flower.
Even when it's not in flower, the variegated foliage is beautiful.
Okay. Well, Sherman, I want to take a look at some of the rest of this park, some of the plants you've got.
Be glad to show you.
Well, here on the west side of Chaddock Park in McAlester, they have a really unique collection of plants. And Sherman, if you would, tell us a little bit about this interesting specimen.
This is weeping katsura. It's a high grafted katsura.
beautiful foliage.
Oh, beautiful, and it's weeping really hard, and it seems to be going to be a good tree for us as far as a a focal type tree.
How long has this been here?
This is going on its third season.
Third season, so it's pretty good size when you put it in.
It was fairly large.
Okay,
yeah.
and we got the grafts pretty high on
pretty high.
The trunk
it's probably
there.
5 feet up, 6 feet up. It's graft.
Okay, beautiful tree, weeping Katsura.
Weeping Katsura.
Well, right back here you've got another interesting specimen, a plant that looks like a tree, but we know this is an aggressive
lot of work.
Asian flowering vine. This wisteria here. How did you guys get it to look like this?
Well, it's a lot of work involved in getting something this large out of the wisteria. The trunks were kind of braided. It was multi-trunked, and I braided them together and just keeping it trimmed off like a tree. You know, keeping the lower branches off of it and not letting it get unruly, because they do get unruly if you don't prune on them.
They can grow up to 30 feet a year.
Yes, they can.
But this is a good way to control one. This
Right.
way you keep it from getting up into your power lines or on top of your house or your neighbor's house.
Down in the turf.
Yeah. But do a lot of pruning on this.
A lot.
To keep it this size. But
Right.
is there a certain time of the year you quit pruning on it so it can set those flower
I
buds?
like to quit by August.
By August?
I like to quit by August because it does bloom on previous year's wood.
Sure.
So you want that wood to have time to harden off and set bud.
Absolutely. Sometimes people wonder why their wisteria doesn't bloom, and it's because they prune it too late.
Prune it too late.
And they cut off those flower buds.
Right.
Well, right down here, Sherman, I see a tree that I'm excited about,
Yeah,
and I know
it's
you
real
guys
unique.
are excited about as well.
Uh-huh.
It's a red bud, but it's
It
a
is.
very unique red bud. Can you tell us about this plant?
That's a lavender twist dogwood.
That's
I mean
amazing.
lavender twist
Red
red
bud.
bud, I'm sorry.
Bloom at the same time dogwoods
Yes,
do.
it does. Uh-huh. Cercis
That is
canadensis.
unique. That is very attractive.
Really weeps hard. We saw the mother plant to this one too in Tennessee. It was real large and was weeping really hard. It wasn't near this tall.
Okay.
It was a little bit shorter, but really weeped hard.
Okay. Just finishing up its peak bloom
Right,
season.
it's fixing to
but
start leafing.
Even in leaf, this is going to be an attractive plant. to have.
Even without any foliage on it, it shows some interest.
And in the wintertime.
In the wintertime,
Okay,
it does. It
yeah.
even because of the branching
The form.
habit of it. Uh-huh.
Well, in another part of the park here, you guys have a collection of conifers.
Correct. We're starting in on our dwarf conifer collection. We've got Chamaecyparis, weeping blue atlas cedar that we're kind of training, and we have viburnums and some true dwarf Japanese red maples, and we're just constantly adding.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I really enjoy coming here and looking at these unique plants, and I can tell you guys have a true love of gardening, and I'm sure the city of McAlester really appreciates that.
Well,
Thanks a
thank
lot,
you.
Sherman.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks for showing us around.
Yeah.